In episode 4, Owen is still riding high from his victory in Beirut. That's when a random guy comes up to him and slips him a random envelope telling him that it's an incident report from Office of Technical Services. The Office of Technical Services built an AI information device. Things got sideways. The guy doesn't really go into any description, just telling Owen, it's all in there. You can check it out. When he finally reads it, it's pretty disturbing. Technical Services built a torture robot. As it was doing a mock interrogation, it ripped a guy's arm off. Now they don't know what to do, legally. It's not like Owen knows what to do about it, so he heads into Nyland's office, where he's surprised to see that Nyland is talking to Dawn, the woman who ripped his fingernail off. Dawn hasn't shown up to chit-chat, though. She's calm about the Max I.Y.D.I.A.C case. She doesn't want the Attorney General to drop the federal charges. That's got CIA intervention written all over it. No, Max's release has to be clean. That's because Operations wants to insert her back into the Russian mob in Belarus as an asset. One of the reasons they want this is because Max was really close to a general who is now number 2 in charge. So putting Max back into the field would give them direct access to Russian intelligence. Dawn tells both Nyland and Owen that the deputy director is banking on her to get this done. And Nyland's okay with it, but he says, well, if that's the case, she's fully vetted. Paperwork this time. No more hip pocket assets. It's now Owen's job to get the Attorney General out of this and get I.Y.D.I.A.C freed by the book. Once Dawn leaves the room, that's when Owen fills Nyland in on this torture robot. Or at least he tries to. Nyland tells Owen that people like to slip them paperwork because they know that once they look at it, they can't unlook at it. They're culpable. Nyland can't believe that Owen was dumb enough to look at it and tells him, get out of here. Give it to Lester. Your priority is the Graymail case. But Owen says, actually, I think Violet would be better for this. Owen should just Violet because Violet's been complaining ever since Owen and Lester got back that she wasn't the one that was chosen to go to Lebanon. She's been talking about wanting a challenge, so Owen thinks he's doing her a favor, but he's actually not. Not at all. When she eventually hunts Owen down, she tells him that no lawyer wants an AI case. And to Violet, Owen did it to sabotage her, not to help her out. Owen then heads to go meet with the Attorney General and tell him that they no longer need him. But before he can even get that out, the Attorney General tells him that there's an eyewitness to Max's case. It's making it a little more complicated. When Owen eventually does tell the Attorney General that he's no longer needed, the Attorney General doesn't take it well. He tells Owen, you wasted my time, so the next time you need a favor from the Justice Department, just punch yourself in the face instead. Owen quickly heads back into the office where he runs into Amelia, and word has already gotten to Amelia about Owen and the Attorney General's run-in on Capitol Hill. He starts telling Amelia that he could actually use her help with this and starts running it down, but that's when they hit Owen's office and he notices a note on the door that says his subpoena has been moved up to Monday. This is the first time that Amelia is hearing about the subpoena, so Owen quickly runs through what it is and why he was called to it. It then gets worse for Owen, because Amelia locked Owen's office door after she caught Dawn snooping through it. Owen gets really concerned about whether or not Dawn touched anything, whether she found anything, but Amelia gets his mind off the topic by reminding him that he owes her a date, and they agree to meet that night at 8 o'clock. He's got to get a move on, though, if he's going to make this date, because he has a flight out to Phoenix to talk to Max I.Y.D.I.A.C in person. He tells Max the plan is still to get her out, but the CIA wants to put her back in Belarus as an asset. Max isn't happy about this, though. She starts asking Owen who decided this from Operations. And when Owen won't tell her, she says it was Xander Goy, right? Owen gets really mad that Max even knows Xander Goy's name. He sternly tells her, I'm trying to help you and you're making it harder by going behind my back and doing these things. Did you reach out to him? And Max admits, yeah, I did. And maybe it came off a little hostile. Owen starts trying to wrap his mind around this. It's no coincidence that this is why Dawn showed up this morning. If Xander is actually behind all this. But what he can't figure out is how is giving Max her old life back a form of payback? And Max tells him it's not, unless that plan's a lie. Owen tells Max about this hotshot general who she was friends with back in the day. And Max says, you know, Owen, both things can be true. I mean, they could need me, but they also want to kill me. They then switch the topic to why getting Max out is more complicated, and Owen tells her about the eyewitness. Max asks Owen, who is this witness? And Owen says, I don't know, but I'm working on it to keep them quiet. Max mumbles that most people are quiet when they're dead, and Owen says, no, Max, you're not killing the witness. I will fix this. Don't go behind my back again. Owen then leaves Max, and right before his flight, he wants to go check on Kelly from afar. He drives by the motel. He starts texting her to see how she's doing, and she admits that she's a mess right now. As Owen is trying to make her feel better through text message, he gets a random phone call from somebody saying that they're a veterinarian and their bird is ready for pickup. Owen has no idea what this means, so he calls up Lester, and Lester explains that somebody sent him a flash cable to the regional office in Phoenix. It's something too sensitive to send over email. All Owen has to do is just drive over and pick it up. Lester does warn Owen, though, that these people in the regional office, they hate dealing with DC types. They have a real inferiority complex. And when Owen arrives at the regional office, he sees exactly what Lester was talking about. It's 3 people who look absolutely miserable and aren't happy to see him. But they give him the flash cable. And it wasn't important. It was from Violet. It says, eat an infinite number of dicks. That's because Violet blames Owen for being in this tech issue. It's worse than she previously thought. And now she's got to figure out how to get out of it so that her name isn't on a file that in 10 years' time gets unearthed and she gets her head put on a spike for. Now, the good news is later on, Violet, along with Lester's help, realized how to get out of this tech issue by simply never turning the robot off. That way they never have to file a report, and the case is solved. But Owen, meanwhile, is still dealing with the gray mail case, and he suddenly gets an idea being in the regional office. Maybe these guys can help him get the name of the eyewitness. He gives them this impassioned speech about how their country needs them, and how they've always been underutilized sitting in this office, and maybe this is a way to get in the good graces of the people at DC by helping him. This speech ends up working, because one of the people does have a contact in the Phoenix PD, so she'll look into it and get back to him with a name. About an hour later, Owen's in the air, flying back to D.C., and he arrives later that night. He walks into the apartment to find both Hannah and Terrence chatting about Terrence's relationship. He's going to be having a serious talk with his boyfriend about taking things to the next step. Terrence really likes this guy, but he's also extremely nervous about how this talk is going to go. Hannah, meanwhile, has to start getting ready for this gala that night that her parents are on the board of. It's called the Sea Life Society. It's a black tie event. A lot of bigwigs in the D.C. area are going to be there, and Owen has a pretty good idea of one bigwig that he wants to talk to. It's Senator Smoot. Luckily for Owen, Jeff, Hannah's new boyfriend, can't go. He's working. So Owen decides to go as her +1, although it does take a little bit of convincing. The first people that Owen and Hannah see when they arrive at the event are Hannah's parents, and they're not exactly thrilled to see Owen. I guess when Hannah and Owen dated back in Georgetown, her parents weren't big fans. They then head to the bar to talk about what Owen's plan is tonight. And it's pretty simple for Owen. Find the senator, win him over. That's it. Hannah, though, thinks that is a terrible plan. Tells Owen that you clearly don't belong here. It's actually a good thing. I grew up with these people. They're constantly measuring worth. Their own and everybody else's. This is one of the reasons why Smoot thinks you're a nobody that he can just bat around like a toy. So what is he going to think when he sees you at an exclusive VIP fundraiser? Owen slyly looks at Hannah and says, yeah, he'll be confused, but he'll also have to reevaluate how much he can mess with me. This totally works, because when they run into Smoot, he's very, very confused on what Owen is even doing there. It does help that Hannah mentions who her parents are, because Smoot recognizes their names. They're huge donors to his campaign. By the time Hannah and Owen leave Smoot behind, Smoot calls up one of his underlings and says, who the hell is this kid? And in order to actually get proper information on him, he's not going to be able to have that hearing on Monday. Hannah and Owen continue to have fun at the party, dancing it up. They're having a blast. When they take a break, they go to the bathroom, fixing themselves up in the mirror, and they're talking about what they're going to do when they leave. They then get really close to kissing, though, and it's Owen who pulls back. He doesn't want to make things awkward. After all, he is meeting with Amelia that night. She's got Jeff. Well, the intention wasn't to make it awkward, it becomes awkward. Hannah takes an Uber home, and Owen leaves by himself. And while he didn't call an Uber, he does kind of get a ride. Dawn picks him up, unsolicited. She tells Owen, you're a wild card, and you didn't exactly instill confidence in Yemen, so I'm doing my due diligence on you. She then stops the car, looks at him, and says, why are you a lawyer? You've got everything that screams operations. Why do you want to be the guy that everybody hates at work when you can be one of the cool kids? And Owen shoots back, it's because I despise the cool kids. They used to beat me up in school. But I get it. Having a lawyer looking over your shoulder makes your job exponentially harder. And to that, I say tough noogies. Dawn kicks him out of her car because she has nothing left to talk to him about. Owen heads over to Amelia's, and they hook up that night. And he decides to sleep over. But he's awoken in the middle of the night by his friends in Phoenix. They've found his witness, but it comes with some bad news. The witness has been offered witness protection in exchange for his testimony, and he's giving an on-camera statement in 12 hours. After that, this guy's gone for good, so Owen has 12 hours to figure out how he's going to stop this guy. He gets up to get Amelia's advice, and Amelia is currently practicing being an analyst, so she forces Owen to play the role of Anderson Cooper. Once again, we don't kink shame on this channel. Owen does do a pretty good job of playing the Anderson Cooper role while getting her expertise, but finally he just breaks character. But Amelia does help him out. She tells him that the CIA has their own version of witness protection. I mean, technically it's retired assets, but it's basically the same thing. This gives Owen the idea of putting the witness in the CIA relocation program, but the whole time he's just going to think he's a witness protection. So with not a lot of time, Owen flies to Phoenix and goes to this guy's address to play the part, but also to get him out of there. At first, the witness, who's named Danny, is confused because he was under the assumption he was going downtown to give his witness statement. But Owen says, no, that's not going to be the case. Your life is in danger. We need to get it right now. Little does Owen know how real that statement actually is. Owen plans on getting the statement on camera and then having his friends in the regional office pick him up and relocate him. Just as expected, the witness tabs Max Milazzi as the murderer. But then, this poor guy's trailer is shot up because Max didn't follow Owen's advice. With the help of Cora, she also was able to find out who this witness was, and she hired a hitman to kill him. Owen's able to fight this guy off and barricade himself along with the witness in the bathroom. He FaceTimes Max because he's very confused on why this guy is wielding a knife trying to kill him, and Max admits, yeah, I did hire somebody, but this guy doesn't even actually know I exist. It's not like I can have him step down. Sorry, you're going to have to get out of this one yourself. With a little bit of quick thinking, Owen is able to do that by ripping the toilet out and sneaking out underneath, getting in the car, and getting the hell out of there. Now that the witness isn't a problem anymore, they have no choice but to drop the charges and let Max walk free. As Owen is getting an attaboy on the phone from Nyland for getting the job done, he sees Kelly in the courthouse find out the news that her dad's killer is left free, and it really gets to Owen's conscience. Suddenly, Owen gets super angry and regretful about the choices he made. So when he goes to see Max, he tells her right off the bat, we're done. I hurt someone by helping you. And it's somebody who doesn't deserve the betrayal that she's feeling right now. Max starts to defend her actions, but Owen truly seems to be done with her. He ignores her defense and says, you're operations problem now. They're going to pick you up from prison when you're released. Have a nice life. And then he walks out. As he flies back to the airport, he makes a phone call to Hannah. He's really emotional, and he's not the only one, because after having that talk with his boyfriend, broke up with him. Terrence is really upset about it because he really liked this guy, but the guy wasn't ready to take the next step, and Terrence was, so they just weren't going to work. Owen really called to get Hannah to tell him that he's not a bad person. And Hannah doesn't think he's a bad person, but what she does think is he's selfish. As Owen is having this heart-to-heart with Hannah, Max is getting released from prison. But they're not out of the woods just quite yet. Because Max was right. Dawn didn't just show up out of the goodness of her heart because she found an asset that was usable. She's working with Xander. Together, they've come up with a great idea on how to use Max. It's high reward, low risk, and they're planning out two options. One to put her back in country, and the other to put her in the ground. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.